It's time to welcome the Wine Ladies with Georgia and Suzanne. An entertaining hour topped up with great ideas about wine, where to dine, anything and everything to do with the vine. Great conversation, lots of laughter, guests from all walks of life, food and wine, music, art, sports, and much more, all on the Wine Ladies.
Hi everybody, it's us the Wine Ladies.
I'm Georgia.
And I'm Suzanne, and welcome to the Wine Ladies, one sip at a time. Thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon.
It's great to have you guys with us. Now, as the Wine Ladies, as far as we're concerned, there's always a wine to go with just about anything. So today's show is all about exploring and experimenting with a very unique wine and food pairing that's going to be lots of fun and absolutely delicious.
Move over wine and cheese. Move over wine and chocolate. Beer and pretzels. We've got a new star pairing. Wine and potato chips. That is one of my favorite two things in the whole world.
Absolutely. And you know, I don't want to waste any time because it is absolutely one of my favorites too. So let's raise our glasses with our traditional toast and get this show chipping. Did I really say that?
You did really say that. All right. So the chip company that we're going to be celebrating today is Vickie's Chips, and they're actually having their 25th anniversary. I know I've been eating those chips for years, and I just simply adore them.
Now, joining us from, you know the brand very, very well, Rosemount Estates wineries from Australia, one of the most successful Australian wine stories there is out there. Andrew Bloor, he is the Global Brand Director. Andrew, great to have you here, and thank you for bringing in all these goodies.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
What an awesome idea. Like Suzanne and I were saying, we both are crazy, obviously, about wine. That's a given.
Yeah.
But potato chips, too. And now, apparently, Canadians enjoy chips and wine, like, several times a month.
Absolutely, and it was a bit of a surprise to me as well. And Miss Vickie's obviously celebrating their 25th anniversary, and they wanted to do something a bit more fun and try and understand a little bit more about what their consumers like to do. So they commissioned a survey, and they discovered that 60% of Canadian wine drinkers enjoy their glass of wine with chips on a regular basis. So they went out then to try and find the right winery who can partner with them based on the similar ideals, if you will, of flavor and challenging conventions. And we're trying to introduce this concept of pairing chips with wine as the perfect combination for those more informal family and friend gatherings.
Well, I know when we saw the press release that this was going to be happening, we said, well, we absolutely must do a show on this. You know, we're thrilled that you're here this afternoon. And look at the goodies you've brought. Wow.
Yeah.
What have you brought? Which flavors have you brought?
So, and this is just a smattering of the range that's available. We have Miss Vickie's original recipe, which we're going to be pairing with the Rosemount Estates Shiraz Cabernet.
Okay.
We have Miss Vickie's sea salt malt vinegar chips, which we're going to be pairing with the Rosemount Estates Pinot Grigio. And then we have Miss Vickie's balsamic vinegar and sweet onion, which we're going to be trying with the Rosemount Diamond Label Shiraz.
Wow. Now, were you involved in the process of selecting the wine to go with a particular chip?
Absolutely. So we got a group of people together, and we had a lot of fun, as you can imagine. You know.
Did you have to get a new pant size after that?
Yes. How many sizes up did you go?
I use elastic.
Elastic band.
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
Or spandex, it works all the time.
Those leisure suits are perfect.
Leisure suits, I should have tried that. I'm sorry. Next time I'll do that. We got a group of people from Miss Vickie's and from Rosemount Estates, and people with a broad variety of backgrounds. Okay. And we just explored, and we just came to a decision in terms of which flavors complemented each other. In some cases, which flavors contrasted. But you know, obviously, flavor is subjective. So while these are some recommendations, you know, we absolutely encourage everybody to go out there and try their own.
The closest thing we've ever tried similar to this is truffle popcorn with sparkling wine and champagne. Have you ever had that?
I have never had that, no.
Absolutely delicious.
It's good.
Yeah, that could be like a dessert to the chips and wine combo.
You can extend the whole occasion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So is there sort of like a couple of principles maybe, like when you're matching up flavors or textures, or was there a little bit of that came to how you decided?
It really is. It's about balance. Okay. And when you understand the rich flavors with the chips, and so then you look at the various flavor combinations that you can get from the different wines, and what's going to balance either the sweet and tangy flavor of of the chips in terms of the wine and what's going to promote or amplify the flavors of the wines and the chips together. And it's not an overly scientific process, but it is much more about, okay, so what feels good, what's the balance, and what promotes the best flavor profiles from both the chips and the wine together.
Which is what wine and food should be all about anyways.
Exactly right.
I know, we don't like the snobbery aspect of wine, do we?
No, we don't. All right. Well, why don't we explore and experiment with the first pairing that you brought in? You said it's the Shiraz Cab with
the Shiraz Cab with the Miss Vickie's original recipe.
Okay,
sounds
good.
So let me pour you some.
Okay.
You know, you talked about not liking the snobbery of winery, and you know, I could not agree more. Wine is about enjoyment. It's about enjoying the flavors. It's about enjoying the celebration and gathering a family and friends.
Thank you. There you go, my dear. Now you've only poured 2 glasses,
How about
my dear.
one for you?
Oh, absolutely.
How about yourself, Andrew?
Not so fast.
I'm not good at math, see, so it didn't quite work.
This is a great idea too for for a party. You know, like you often have
Yes,
wine and food, like wine and cheese tastings, or you know, wine and chocolate tastings as well. How fun to have it like with potato chips.
Absolutely, and it's about making it accessible and challenging some of those conventions and making people feel good about these choices. And you don't need to try and overcomplicate things. It is about making it just informal and fun.
And I think Rosemount is a great choice of a winery because you guys have a reputation of having like really good value wines, like excellent quality for the price point, lots of fun, lots of good flavors, and I think it's a really good pairing from the 2 brands that way as well.
It was a natural fit, it really was. Both brands were born out of entrepreneurial spirit. They were about challenging conventions of the day, and it was about an obsessive focus with flavor, and it was about trying to deliver to the consumers the flavors that they want to experience. So those 2 things, it was a natural marriage between the 2 brands.
So tell us a little bit about this wine that we're about to enjoy.
So this is the Shiraz Cabernet. This is a new version, a new brand, sorry, from Rosemount. Very traditional in terms of very spicy Shiraz fruit notes, balanced nicely with the deep black currant and the black fruit you'd expect from a Cabernet.
Okay, awesome.
Give it a try.
Very nice. And all of the wines sell for, you were saying, around the $15
Around about
mark?
$15 mark, that's right.
In Ontario,
Which is a
anyways.
great price point for everyday quaffing, for sure.
Really accessible, and that's the key. A common theme, as you may have gathered throughout all of this partnership, is about how do we make it accessible and fun.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Gonna try some of this
yes,
with the
let's
chips?
try it.
Well.
Let's go for it. Now, we should also say that the reason we went with a red wine first, or this particular one, is because this is Miss Vickie's original recipe.
Absolutely.
Okay. Suzanne, après vous.
I like the curly ones.
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to go there. Okay.
Now, of course, a little bit of wine, a little bite of the chip, and then combine the 2 and see what happens.
Absolutely.
I think
Let's do that.
would be
An explosion in the mouth. I will try the wine.
I'll just move these over here.
Oh, that works for me. That's great.
It does. The spiciness of the wine really does. I talked about earlier about it being about balance. And the pure and simple salt seasoning of the original recipe, I think, just balances this wine perfectly.
Awesome. I
I'm
think it's
savoring this chip.
You know, I
actually.
I actually do often enjoy, when I do have chips, I actually, to be honest, I really do usually have wine with it.
I haven't really done that, to be truthful.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think
I'm going to start now.
And it surprised me. Went that 60% of Canadian wine drinkers regularly enjoy their wine with chips, and it was something that I wasn't expecting. But I think it speaks volumes for the kind of relaxed, informal occasion and how much wine is part of the everyday life of Canadians, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
And even more surprising, more Canadians enjoy chips with wine than they do with beer.
Really?
Which really
wow,
surprised.
that is surprising.
It's not a huge difference, but there's definitely wine is the preferred tipple.
And is it more female targeted, I would think?
Yeah, definitely skews more female.
Because I still think women drink more wine than men do.
They're smarter, aren't they? So
they're smarter.
Well, I know we eat a lot of chips too. I mean, I couldn't find anything on the Canadian market, but I believe when I was sort of trying to find some figures, I think it was 1.2 billion pounds of potato chips are eaten every year. Like that's in America. So we probably eat, like, you know, relative to population, something like that as well. That's huge.
Absolutely, it is. That's a lot of potatoes.
100 million pounds.
Yeah, 1.2 billion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
With the extra 200,000.
Yeah,
I guess,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. Very cool.
That's
So
good. I
tell
like
us
that.
a little
Nice.
bit about Rosemount. The wine is made obviously in Australia.
Absolutely. So, you know, Rosemount was started in 1969, and it was literally born out of a why not spirit. The originators of Rosemount wanted to challenge the conventions, the winemaking and wine consumption conventions of the day. They didn't want to be told this is how wine should taste, or how it should be made and how it should taste, and this is how you should drink it.
Yeah.
So they started their own winery, and it was all about driving leadership and driving innovation. And they introduced, you know, Syrah or Shiraz to the world. They introduced the Australian region to the world, and it was about innovation. It was about leadership. It was about fresh thinking, and it was about an obsessive focus on flavour. And it was all about, you know, making sure that we delivered wines that consumers liked to drink.
Well, there's definitely lots of full flavor in all of the Rosemount wines. There's no question about that.
Great.
Yeah.
So it works.
Absolutely. And I mean, Australia has some of the oldest vines in the world, I think. Do they not?
Absolutely, yes. We haven't suffered, being so far away from the rest of the winemaking world, we haven't suffered from some of the ailments that the industry has suffered over the years. So
Right.
we have the oldest Cabernet and Shiraz vines in the world.
Amazing. And also, you guys export a lot of your wine. I think you're like just behind the France, Spain, and Italy in export, but like much smaller in terms of production.
Yes, we absolutely are. There's no doubt. I mean, the Australian population, there's only 20 million people. So, you know, we make a lot of wine. But
Yeah.
Is that it?
that's
Truly?
it.
Wow.
Absolutely. And, you know, we drink above our weight. There's no doubt about it. But we're still... and there's a huge export market for Australian wines. And,
Yeah.
you know, Rosemount comes from the McLaren Vale, which is in South Australia, and is quintessentially a McLaren Vale wine. And so the flavours you get there are exactly what you would expect from that sub-region within the Australian winemaking world.
Okay.
Now, are we going to try the white next, the Pinot Grigio? Is
Absolutely.
That the next
Shall
one?
we try this?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Which is kind of strange. We're going to go red, white, red, but we're doing it
That's
for
okay.
the chips,
We're
basically.
doing it for the chips. Exactly right. It's
gonna
all
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 about
for the
the
sake
chips.
of the chip.
Yes.
Now, I understand that potato chips were discovered quite by accident. Did you know that? They were. It was a mistake that happened. It was
Great mistake.
It was. This gentleman named Vanderbilt. You may have heard of him.
Cornelius.
Cornelius Vanderbilt or
Yes.
Commodore,
No,
whatever.
Commodore Cornelius Vanderbilt.
That's it. Okay. So he was in a restaurant and he ordered these potatoes, and they kept coming back like too thick, and he kept sending them back and saying, "I want them thinner. I want them thinner." And finally, the chef decided he was going to play a joke on Cornelius Commodore, and he made them really, really, really thin, and then he boiled them and fried them. Well, the trick backfired, because after that. That was the origin of potato chips, and from there the restaurant became really famous for its potato chips. So there,
Fantastic mistake.
Absolutely. See, entrepreneurialism at its best.
There you go.
Exactly.
All right, so this is the Pinot Grigio.
This is the Pinot Grigio,
Okay.
and you know this is a fantastic example of Australian Pinot Grigio, very driven by tropical fruit and peach and pear.
Oh, wow.
Okay, lovely.
Absolutely.
I find sometimes there's quite a few Pinot Grigios out there that are lacking a little bit. They don't have
This
a lot
one
going on
doesn't.
in the glass.
This has a lot going on in the
Yeah.
glass. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that comes back to Rosemount's obsession with flavour and making sure that we're bringing
Pear.
out.
I get a lot of pear.
pear. Absolutely.
Yes, big time. Did you get that, Georgia? Oh, it's delicious.
I do. Really nice. Yeah, that's great.
So this is going to be matched up with the balsamic vinegar sweet onion.
And this is actually the sea salt malt vinegar.
Oh, the salt.
Oh, we have them in the wrong order.
Yes.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
just around a little. So we just.
Oh, I
Okay,
see.
so we're going here next.
We are going
Okay.
here next.
All right.
All right.
and
So
this is
why would those be paired together?
So obviously sea salt and malt vinegar is going to be very, very tangy in terms of that, that flavor profile, and the tropical fruit of the Pinot Grigio really balances it out nice and finishes beautifully. So it comes back to you. This is probably one of those pairings that was more around contrast than it was around complementary.
Okay.
But the finish is just absolutely perfect. Brings it all together nicely.
Oh.
So should we try it?
Absolutely. Let's go for it. Okay. Sorry, Suzanne, I went before you. There you go, my dear.
Need a curly one.
Well, while you select, I'll start to munch.
I'm going to take 2 of these. I'm going to increase as we go
How
along.
about for Andrew? Okay.
Cheers to Andrew.
Absolutely.
I am in heaven today.
Yes, this
Chips
is a
and
great
wine.
show. I love this show. Wow. Yes, we've been on a health kick the past 6 weeks, so we are being a little naughty this afternoon by enjoying a few chips.
Well, you know, everything in life is about moderation.
Right.
Whether it's drinking or whether it's eating potato chips. And if something you enjoy, I'm a firm believer you shouldn't stop yourself from doing it.
Right, not entirely anyway.
Not entirely. As I said, everything in moderation.
That is great. I find that it doesn't, the chips don't taste quite as salty.
Yeah.
With the wine together with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yummy. Really good too. Yeah. I'm definitely going to do this idea. I think it's a great idea.
I think we should have a chip and wine party.
Yeah, me too.
That's a great idea.
So there's the event tomorrow. So are you going to
Tomorrow
have tomorrow night? Are you going to be showcasing more than 3 pairings? So
We have 6
Okay.
that we'll be including tomorrow night. There is the jalapeno and Traminer Riesling, and there's the black pepper.
that's your favorite.
Absolutely. With the Sauvignon Blanc. So there are 6 different pairings, and again, this is just and we had a lot of fun doing it, and this is just these are thought starters, if you will, to show people how easy it is to do it. It is a very subjective process, so we want people to just try them. It is all about exploration, and that's what wine is all about.
I think it's very timely too, because Canada Day is coming up, and there's going to be a lot of picnics and people going out and about on their boats. And what an awesome idea to have chips and wine and enjoy a fantastic time with that.
Absolutely,
it's very good.
The perfect informal environment.
And we're definitely going to put all of these pairings up on the wineladies.com with the show.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to match up your Rosemount wines with the chips and have your own wine and chip party at home.
Absolutely. And so Miss Vickie has a Facebook page that the pairings will be available there as well. And so everything else that they'll be doing around their 25th anniversary will all be available there. And as these start to evolve, we'll keep that updated. And obviously, we'll keep you updated as well.
Yes, we need to know.
Absolutely.
That sounds great. All right, shall we move on to our final chip pairing?
Let's. So we're going to move now on to the Rosemount Diamond Label Shiraz.
Okay.
And we're going to pair this with the balsamic vinegar and sweet onion.
And sweet onion. Okay, I'm going to grab your glass here. I'm going to dump it, and then you'll have a free
Thank
glass
you very
for
much.
your...
Excuse me for leaning.
Thank you. There you go, my dear.
So there is no doubt the Shiraz.
Sorry. Here you go.
Shiraz is one of my favorite. It is just
wonder
rich
why.
and bold and spicy, and not one of the fruit bombs that Australia was originally renowned for. It's a lot more subtle and complex than that. But it's just, you've cleaned out my glass, and then I didn't pour myself. You got me all
Now,
flustered.
is Shiraz still, is it still the most planted red grape variety in Australia?
In Australia, absolutely, it is.
And
yes.
what comes second after Shiraz? Is it Cab or?
I believe it's actually Chardonnay.
Oh, in white.
Oh,
so
sorry,
Chardonnay's
in
the number
red,
one
then
white,
Cab,
and then
definitely,
Cab.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Now, you guys kind of put Shiraz on the map a little bit, I would say, wouldn't you?
We did.
They're responsible.
Yeah.
I'm proud to be responsible.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
vibrant cassis, some licorice flavors. It's just rich. The color is gorgeous.
Very rich, yeah. So
What
that's
year
going
is this?
So this is the 2010.
2010. 2010. Okay.
Was that a good vintage?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 2012 is going to be a stunner. 2011 was tough.
Is it? Yeah.
But
What, 'cause of
2012.
the drought? Is that
Yeah.
why? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it depends on which part of the country you're talking about. Whether it was like the drought or it was just a lot of rain. After 14 years of drought in Australia, we decided to come back with a vengeance and floods all over the place. But 2012, the winemakers are telling me it's going to be a stunning vintage.
Awesome. Okay. So let's put these chips aside.
Okay,
And now
and
we're
we'll
going
move
for the
balsamic.
more aggressive potato chip, if we can, or assertive potato chip.
Assertive.
Okay, that's better. Okay. Okay.
That's gonna
Aggressive. Okay, so wrong adjective. Somebody shoot me.
We knew what you meant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you, Ed.
So this is balsamic vinegar and a sweet onion. And,
Okay.
and
Perfect.
again, this is probably more around contrast than complement, and it's about how those very different flavors come together, and it's about, as with always the case with wine, is about how it finishes, how they combine in the mouth. And
Okay. Good. I've never tried these before, so
these are wonderful.
this is the newest flavor, I think. Is
I
that
believe
right?
so, that's
Okay.
right,
Yeah. After you. Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a good chip. Like that.
Oh, yes. That sweet onion's delicious.
Isn't that good?
That's
delicious.
Delicious. Yummy.
Put those two things in your mouth at the same time, and it's just like harmony. It just balances out beautifully.
Who would
Very
ever
nice,
thought?
yeah.
You know, we always originally wine and chocolate pairing when that
Yeah.
sort of started.
Yeah.
People were wondering what that was all about. This is going to be the next craze, I think.
Absolutely, and the wonderful thing about this, it's very accessible. It's really quite informal, so there's none of the highfalutin aspect of wine that people can sometimes feel a little daunting.
Right.
But it's also the broad spectrum of flavors that you can get with potato chips, and the Miss Vickie's range is a perfect example of that. So it's not just about red wines and chocolate, for example. You can the full spectrum of wine varietals.
I love this
Very
idea.
good. Yeah. Yeah. That was nice. I have to try that again, actually.
I think you should,
You
just
guys
to be
could-
sure.
Just to be sure.
Wow.
Yeah. I think this is my favorite pairing, I think, actually. I think it's my favorite chip, and I
Yeah.
also like the big fruit flavor, the boldness, the bigness of this wine, too.
Yeah.
How did you decide to make some of them complementary tastes and some more opposite tastes? What was the thinking behind that?
So I don't. Again, it wasn't as an incredibly scientific process, and it wasn't a deliberate choice to choose complementary or contrasting. It was much more around when the chips and the wine are in the mouth, the balance and the feel and the finish. So it just panned out that in some cases the flavors seem to, when they first hit the palate, seem to be contrasting, but then they blend beautifully.
Good. I think that's fun. Great choices. The chips are delicious.
This actually might replace my favorite, my lime chip and black pepper Miss Vickie's.
Ooh.
I don't know. It's pretty good.
Well, you're putting yourself out on a limb there, Susan.
Yeah. No, this is pretty good.
What's your favorite, Andrew?
Oh, definitely the balsamic vinegar, sweet onion, and the Shiraz. I think that's just two big, bold flavors that come together perfectly.
Yes, I think so too. That was absolutely delicious.
Good.
Well,
I'm
great
glad you enjoyed
fun.
that.
Yeah, awesome concept, and fun to be introduced to this new pairing.
It's also a great idea for a party because if you want to have people over,
Yeah.
and maybe you don't have a huge budget for entertaining, you could
great idea.
get away with doing a wine and chip party and
Absolutely.
giving
Great
it a
idea.
bit of a spin, you know, and not have to break the bank in terms of costs.
Absolutely.
So I think it's an awesome idea, truly.
Something that
Yeah.
you can really very easily understand as well, which I love. Again, it comes back to being accessible.
Right.
Wine for the people.
Yes, wine for the people, chips for the people.
Yeah.
On that note,
Well, thank you, Andrew, for coming in
It's
this
a pleasure.
afternoon.
Thank you so
and,
much for having me.
Our pleasure.
We look forward to tomorrow's event.
Yes, so am I.
That's going to be fantastic. And welcome to Toronto. This is, I understand, your second time.
Only
to
my
our fair
second
city.
visit, yes. It's
So
gorgeous.
enjoy yourself, and you brought the fine weather with you.
Well, it's a pleasure. And hopefully that means you'll have me back.
Absolutely.
oh, for sure. Not before you have us, down under.
Absolutely.
Remember, we talked
Done.
about that before the
Done.
show. All right, thanks
Goodbye,
again,
everyone.
Andrew.
So
Okay.
Thanks for joining us here on the Wine Ladies, one sip at a time. Have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you next week.
Cheers, everyone.